Alright, welcome back everyone to some more Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Sorry, I had my headphones in, I couldn't hear anything. Okay, so we talked a lot last video, mostly really, about things like god choices, spell slots, and all those other great things. Now it's pretty much time to just put into practice. A lot of the things that we've learned from now, from pre-temple, is going to apply a lot to the things in all the way up to lair, I guess, and into lair. So I'll probably be going into some more deep strategic analysis today to try to give you guys a little bit of an example of how generally we're going to, play through the game as a mage. Now, again, I want to say that it should be noted, of course, that there were not as many. There were only a handful of scenarios where I was actually in a melee situation, and most of the time that I was in melee with something, it was either against my volition because something turned the corner, or in the case of the ogre, I was just kind of trapped there, or I was able to escape within one turn of being in melee with the opponents. So, again, the focus of today is going to try to be alright. The focus of today is going to be to not get in melee with stuff. So Erica is at the, is right there on the corner. So you see there, I was standing where the white was. I noticed the white. I was about to attack, but then I realized that there was actually Erica, a very powerful mage, behind and asleep, behind the white. So unfortunately, that was not what I wanted to do at all. Holy moly, that was completely wrong. Sorry about that. My buttons are all in the wrong place. For some reason, I thought I'd already memorized my spells, but I actually put blink on the wrong spell. I tend to put it on a pretty hard to reach button. Again, using the equals button, equals S, and then select your spell. Select the hotkey you want to switch it with. You can also do that for items. You can also do that for abilities, but generally don't do it as much for those two unless you're going for the A-B switch with the I guess, apostrophe button, which switches between your A and B slot in your main weapon. Anyway, I messed that up horribly bad, so let's try to do that again, shall we? I'm going to go down a different staircase. I'm going to be very careful. Erica is now awake because of my foolish mistake, as are multiple whites, so I need to be very careful when I'm heading towards the north side of the map. I need to just be aware that at any point in time, I could be fighting a very powerful enemy. Okay, I think I'm actually going to put Iskenred's Mystic Blast on E and my Conjure Flame on D. It's very important that you find a spell setup, I suppose, that is ergonomic for yourself. Every single person is different, and everyone will get a slightly different, move set. But here you can see a bit more strategic parts. I am using the Conjure Flame in the corridor to keep enemies at bay. If they're smart enough, they won't stay. They'll just stay behind the fire, and they'll, get pelted by the rest of my spells. If they're stupid, they'll walk straight into it and take a whole lot of damage. And hopefully, I'll be able to kill them very quickly, even if they aren't necessarily, even if it's not optimal for me to have them in melee range. So there's an example of me using the stone instead of throw flame, because I said, as I said before, your ranged spell tends to be fireball in this setup. The only difference between fireball and throw flame, the only two real differences is the fact that fireball is a higher level spell, meaning that it's going to cost you more mana and also be a little bit more hungering, but mostly the fact that the largest advantage that throw flame has over fireball in those specific cases is at this stage in the game it has 1 tile extra range, and it also has no noise. So if you press Shift I, you can bring up this menu which shows you power, range, hunger, and noise. As you can see, the fireball is an extremely loud or very loud spell. It means it's going to wake up a whole lot of stuff around you and alert enemies that are pretty close to you. So that's why, to grab the attention of a single enemy, it's probably better not to use fireball. It's probably better to throw a stone or throw a bit of flame at the enemy, which is going to help out a little bit more. So there you saw me fight a Crimson Imp. As I said previously, that is really helpful for us to have Iskenred's Mystic Blast, as it is our off-element spell. It's able to kill the enemy that is previously not previously immune to fire. So here's an example of a really cool way of using Fireball. As you can see here, the 3x3 tile is actually hitting off the screen. It's actually hitting that centaur right now as it molds to the dungeon. So I can hit him from around the corner, and as you can see, I killed him. You can see that because it says you feel a bit more experienced. Unfortunately, as you can see in the noise bar up at the top, just below my XL, it's at red, meaning that I've actually woken a lot of things up. And you can see that by the 5 shouts, the howl, the 2 shouts, the howl, the shout. So basically, I woke everything up on the north side of that floor, which is fine because I am backing off immediately. Okay, this is a pretty bad spot for me to be in, but because I have Conjure Flame, I'm able to kind of reposition myself. I'm going to use the extra turns from Conjure Flame to kind of pull back a little bit. The Warg is a fairly dangerous melee enemy for this character. It's going to rip you to shreds in about 5 turns, so you need to be a bit careful. Now, one thing that's quite important with a mage is to always make sure that you're able to cast your spells, and that means keeping your hunger topped up. I didn't really talk about this too much because hunger wasn't too much of an issue, but when you are hungry, eat your food. Eat your damn food. If you've ever watched the co-op series tutorial that I did with Blue Scion back in the day, we were playing Deep Elf Fire Elementalist. It was actually very similar to this one, but she was playing and I was just teaching at the time. Every single time that I saw her go below normal satiation, I was like, eat your damn food, eat your damn food. It's very important to do that because if you go to starving, which is entirely possible when you're spamming fireballs, it is the same as going down to 0 mana because you cannot cast a spell if you are starving. Alright, so there's an example of the Warg getting fed up with me shooting at him from across the wall and him being pissed off enough to walk through the fire. Now, the optimal position would have been for me to stand right here because the Warg would have stood in this fire and stayed in the fire while he was attacking me, which would kill him in the next turn. Because I didn't do that, because I didn't realize that he could walk through the fire, I'm instead just going to use my Sticky Flame to take him out. Sticky Flame has been applied to him, so that means he's burning every single turn. I'm going to move left 1 tile, and as you can see, he dies very easily and without any stress. I'm slightly low on mana. Instead of engaging on the frog, I'm going to pull upstairs, and I'm going to rest instead. Again, this is the correct way to be playing Mage, and if you aren't doing at least that much, then you're probably going to be dying quite a lot more than you'd expect. So, this white here has a spear, meaning that he has 2 tiles worth of range. I'm going to counteract this by moving 1 tile away from the fire, meaning that even at his max range, he still can't hit me. Alright, so at this point, level 9, our third stat choice, I'm going to go ahead and pick up Intelligence again. This flame is probably good enough for me to use for the time being. I'm going to throw a couple of bits of flame at him, noting of course that I am starting to run a little bit low on mana. Also, I wanted to point out here that because our Flame Tongue is at max range now, it's actually extremely far. You can actually hit 5 tiles away, which means that it's pretty much always going to be better than Throw Flame. Having said that though, I'm still going to use Throw Flame for the extreme range that it has. I think at Translocations 3, and the fact that we have our Blink down to 1%, which is perfect, we will no longer have to train Translocations. We only did that just to get the spell failure down of Blink very far, so that there's no chance of it miscasting and just wasting a turn. Alright, because usually when you blink, you're going to be in some fair amount of danger. So at this stage here, we're at D7, D8. I think it's time for us to start training a bit of defense. Generally, I like to train my fighting first. Dodging tends to be a more unreliable defense than armor, and unfortunately as a mage, there is no chance of us getting any good amount of armor. Generally, the most armor that you'll go up to as a mage is probably going to be, I'd say about Troll Leather Armor, Robes, Steam Dragon, Acid Dragon maybe. Like that's like kind of where you're at. Fire Dragon is going to be really tough to deal with unless you're a Deep Elf, because you have a lot of, and you've trained in strength and you've done just enough stuff to like kind of get it all to work, because your spell failure will go up quite high, which is obviously not desirable. You want it to be as low as possible, probably like about 1%, 2% like this. So yeah, getting armor is really not that great on a mage. So I guess I'll just write that out right now, just because I think it's kind of important. Video number 4. Mages do not have armor. Do not really use armor. The most you'll use is probably something along the lines of What's the heaviest armor I would accept? Swamp Dragon armor, I'd say. Ringmail. So Swamp Dragon armor is about the same as Ringmail, and that's about the same as Troll Leather armor. Sorry, I'm typing for the Americans, so I'm spelling it without the U, but, you know, there should be a U there. You weirdies. Okay, anyway, continuing on. This is a Orc Priest. He's got 45... I've got 45 HP. An Orc Priest can smite for about 16 to 18 damage, so we need to be a bit careful. He can kill us in 1 or 2 hits, but thanks to our beautiful Fireball spell, we kind of can kill it before it can kill us in any conceivable situation. Okay, so there's a couple of unknown scrolls here. I don't know if I want to read them specifically, but I'll do it today. Scroll of Vulnerability and Summoning, that's fine. So the Alligator is here now. That's quite a dangerous enemy. I'm going to go ahead and just Conjure Flame. He's not going to follow me, that's fine. And I'm going to pull back upstairs and heal. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. So now we're worried about Erica. Holy shit, okay. We've been cured by this kobold here. I'm going to go ahead and cure out of that. Career is a very powerful tool, as it slows and asphyxiates and heavily poisons an enemy that can breathe. And we got hit by it on the first shot, so it was kind of bad for us. But a cure will quickly get rid of that poison, and that'll be very helpful for us. The Spriggan Baker. This is a fairly fast, nimble enemy. That is a bit of a worry. So right now we have 18 mana. That allows us 3 fireballs and then 3 flame tongues. But I also have pretty bad positioning because in order to escape, I actually need to run north to the unknown, which is here, exposing me to a flank. And I really can't do much. So, but I feel like I could probably take the fireball on. But again, we're going to showcase some really optimal play, I guess, and just run away. And I'm going to cast a Conjure Flame here, just to delay them a little bit more. Try to keep it in line of sight for as long as possible, and then run back down. And once the Spriggan Baker comes back, I'm going to Conjure Flame once more, and continue on my merry way. So as you can see there, I was able to actually avoid taking a fight that was risky. And now I'm all the way back here. I can kind of pelt that guy at max range with my Flame Tongue. And that lets me reset the fight with Erica, and I am now suddenly in a much stronger position. This Warg here wants to fight. I'm a little bit worried because Erica is almost here, but that's fine. I don't want to waste all of my mana. I know I'm going to take a bit of hits from this Warg, but he will die pretty quickly in the Conjure Flame. I'm going to cast Flame Tongue 1 or 2 times. There we go. Walk out of line of sight to snuff the flame, and then walk back to the upstairs. Again, we're playing this very cautiously because we know Erica is capable of casting Venom Bolt, which is an extremely powerful long-range spell, and is potentially going to kill us if she casts twice and hits twice and does a fairly good amount of damage. So we're in a little bit of Frown Town here. I'm gonna go ahead and shout here. That's gonna pull a couple of guys towards me. I was hoping to wake up the Centaur so he could chase me, but that's fine. And I'm gonna rest. Okay, the Kobold is around here. The Centaur's around here somewhere. All right, great. So this is a pretty bad position for me to be in at this point in time. The Centaur can shoot at me, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fireball this Orc Priest, pull down, which cuts the Centaur away from me and brings the Orc Priest into melee, Sticky Flame, and fireball. This is quite a risky position again, but it's a little bit unfortunate. I couldn't really run there because the Priest could smite me, and I was not at edge of line of sight. So generally with the Priest, if he's at edge of line of sight, and you're running in the opposite direction as him, you're probably safe because he can't really smite you and move at the same time. However, in this case, I was at such a disadvantage because he turned the corner right here. So if I moved all the way down here, that's a lot of smites. Furthermore, the Centaur might come this way and cut me off, so I'd be in a little bit of Frown Town there. So I just avoided that fight entirely by taking the offensive move. Sometimes the offensive move is fine if it is the move that will quickly guarantee your safety. So there I just threw a flame. I know that places very strongly in the unknown. So there's probably a lot of guys. Orcs like to come in packs. We've taken a couple of them with us, but you know, it's helpful to always do more. Conjure Flame, and Flame Tongue will continue to take on enemies, and walk back to the upstairs. Rest. Rinse and repeat. It's very simple, guys. There's really nothing like super special about it. Just once you get one tile gap, conjure flame, throw flame, easy peasy. So here you can see Vehemot gifting us our first spell, Shock. This is the Air Elementalist level 1 spell. We really don't need it at this point, so we're just going to leave it. This will eventually time out, and it'll just go away, and he might replace it with another gift at some point. Now, I didn't say this last time, but there is a downside to Vehemot. He really does put your character on a time limit in terms of how to get your optimal spells. There's really no room for experimentation with Vehemot, but that's not as important if we're able to show you, if I'm able to show you what exactly you're looking for. Just take the spells that generally I take, and if you have a question about which spell I should take at X point in the game, you should probably just leave a comment and I'll let you know in the following day. Usually I respond to questions within about 1 business day. No, actually, not even 1 business day, 1 day in general. The channel does not go offline on the weekends, unfortunately. Let's pull back. That was an Orc Warrior. Just use the same old tricks. Conjure Flame and Flame Tongue. Easily takes him out. Could have also used Fireball. If he got close, could have used Sticky Flame. Again, the slots for my spells have been pretty much well defined. Every single spell has its own purpose, and every single spell has a very good use. Except for, I guess, Throw Flame, and Inner Flame obviously sucks. So we're not going to use that one. But, everything else is pretty good. So at some point we missed where Erica is. That's probably a good idea, but at the same time I kind of want to, yeah, there we go, chase her down. So I think the ideal position here is probably somewhere like this. I'm going to shout here, draw Erica towards me. The reason why is because now I have fairly max range. I can now fireball her to my heart's content. I'm going to throw 1 Conjure Flame here. I can check what the range of her Venom Bolt is and her IMB. I assume they're quite long, about 4 or 5 tiles. Yeah, so I'm not really going to be able to outpace her. What I can do is just kind of burst her down with some fire spells. Since that hasn't worked, I'm going to switch to the Blowgun and throw the Career Needles. The Career Needles are not really accurate because throwing Blowguns have been nerfed quite badly in older patches. So at 0 skill, they're quite bad. But if I have time, I can throw enough needles that I can kind of hit them. I was lucky there and I got 1 shot for free and killed her, but normally that wouldn't be the case. So don't assume that you will kill her in 1 shot at that health. You may miss a couple of times that blowgun, but as you can see, the blowgun was very useful in just being able to apply that 1 tick of poison that was able to take her down. Through the career, obviously, because she's more dangerous than just a random enemy, so I decided to throw the more powerful needle. Career is pretty much stronger than poison. Okay, so Lair on D8 is very early, but it doesn't really matter. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to go all the way down to D10 usually. That's where I like to end. You don't necessarily have to, but that's the way I like to do it. So unfortunately, I can't avoid doing melee in this spot, but Sticky Flame will take care of both of those guys very easily. There is a Bailey on this floor. It is possible that the Bailey is good for us. I'm not going to rush for it though, because I know that the Bailey isn't exactly safe, and it's also quite a melee focused area, and if we can't let guys out of melee, we might actually end up dying, which is kind of scary. So I will pop my head in just to see what kind of vault it is, use my knowledge of the vaults to figure out if it's worth going into, but I'm not super rushed. Okay, so I'm making quite sure to kind of keep a wide berth around these things. It's quite a large vault there with a lot of cool stuff, but unfortunately it looks a little bit out of my reach. There's a shield here, so shields act the same way as armor. It actually does make your spellcasting a lot harder, but usually most mages will pick up a shield at some point, just because it's extra defense that can be trained away. Because at 15 shields, it counts as if you have no shield, so it's very powerful. Okay, so the ogre is actually moved out of line of sight, but that does not mean he does not exist. If I throw a fireball right here, I can actually hit him still. And you can see that because I got more experience 2 times, 3 times. So I actually killed the ogre and 2 extra enemies, one which was on screen. So that's quite nice. Okay, I'm going to pull upstairs. I don't feel too safe in this spot. Going to Conjure Flame in between these enemies. You can't place a Conjure Flame on top of a guy. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw some stuff at this guy now. Just Just throw a real, like, bunch of stuff at him. I don't want to throw all my mana at him, just in case I need to escape and fight another guy like this. Okay. Again, I'm resting with no real intent to go into the Bailey. I'm not super worried about it. If I get into it, I get into it. That's good. If not, don't worry about it. But, yeah, there you go. So here's the Bailey. Again, I'm not going to go in unless I'm at full health. Even if it means that it shuts down, it's fine. Okay, this is a fairly scary area to be in, actually. That's a Deep Elf Mage. I'm actually going to just leave right now. The Deep Elf Mage is a fairly scary enemy, and I have no real way of fighting a multitude of enemies at that skill level. I have Fireball, yes, but it's going to attract the rest of the floor, and it'll probably end up killing me. And I don't have enough health to survive in melee with those elves that long, so I'm just going to avoid it. Not going to time portals is often a good strategy for a more seasoned player. Once you figure out, you know, the risk-reward, if the risk is too high, just don't do it. It's a very optional thing, and most of the time the branch doesn't even spawn, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it in general. So we're going about with exploring. I'm gonna again force a little bit of a good search habit. I'm gonna go back up towards the known and then explore slowly outwards rather than exploring all willy-nilly like I have right now. This is going to help me avoid like getting caught out and backstabbed and flanked and whatnot. So I picked up the Book of Changes. This is the Book of Transmutations, which is a spell school that is generally reserved for hybridy, unarmed combat dudes. It changes your form, turns you into another guy, gives you more different properties on your form. So, for example, Spider form gives you less health, less armor, higher dodging, and a poison-based attack. And just like in general, transmutations I find to be cool for a couple of games, and then a bit lackluster due to the difficulty in getting through the early game. It's a very tough start usually because it's trying to do all these things at once. It's kind of rough. So, but definitely as a mage, we don't need that. Like, there's really nothing that the mage has to do with transmutations. Okay, the Peridot Ring. I'm gonna go ahead and just check out what it is. It is a Ring of Strength. This is not a great ring for this character. Strength doesn't really have any bearing on magic at all, and we have robes, so there's no armor penalty that might get mitigated by strength. And even if it did, we have enough strength to wear robes. We're not that weak. I'd be very like pleased to know that there is a way, if there's a way for someone to be encumbered while wearing robes. That'd be pretty funny. Like, you're just so weak that the robes interfere with your ability to cast magic. You're not even strong enough to be a, like, stereotypical fantasy caster. It's pretty good. Anyway, as you can see, I have explored this place in a fairly robust way. It's very safe and very, you know, I have a lot of back doors open to myself, so it's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and ID some of these 2-slot potions. It's going to open up haste and invisibility, which are excellent defensive tools. There's a scarf here. Scarves give 0 AC, but come with a free extra cool thing. Like in this case, we get permanent repel missiles. Normally, repel missiles would be a must-have spell for a mage, but they remove that. So deflect missiles is sometimes a must-have spell, but most of the time it's not. But this Scarf of Repel Missiles is very powerful because mages, again, as I said, excel when they are hitting and they cannot get hit, meaning that range is actually quite painful for them because they have to absorb the attacks with their soft, shitty body. This Scarf of Repel Missiles will actually make us a little bit more tanky against those kind of attacks, and it'll give us an upper hand in general in battle against any centaur dudes that want to fight us or, you know, what have you. But keep this in mind, we're actually losing 3 AC for this Scarf because we don't have a cloak of +2. So we do suffer quite a bit from this. So I do have to probably go a little bit higher in the armor in this game. It's been about 24 minutes. I'm probably going to just finish this floor and then I will end the video, mostly because I am quite tired right now. I have just come back home from something that I was doing and I am pretty pooped out, to be completely honest. And it's also extremely hot today in Australia. 41 degrees, I think, or something to that effect. I walked outside. Oh, that's why I shouldn't be talking when I'm playing. I instantly made a mistake walking into melee with the yak. Let's pull this guy upstairs. This is a very bad upstairs because now I have to take at least one free hit to escape. I could either go north or I could go south. I'm going to go to the south because if I go north, I have to go this way and then this way, taking 2 hits. Whereas here I can only take 1. Now that he's kind of in a safer position and I don't have to take free hits, I'm going to cast Sticky Flame and start walking back. This is the optimal damage combo for a enemy that is 10 speed and won't kill you in 1 turn if you're in melee with it. An enemy that might kill you in 1 turn if you're in melee with it could be a Hydra, for example, and that's a pretty scary enemy, so if you see one of those bad boys, be afraid. I think at this point, it's probably wise for me to turn the Conjuration's training down and train some dodging instead. A little bit more defense, just chuck a bit more. Maybe focus a bit more fire magic, just to get us a little bit higher up in the tier. That is an ant. I do not want to be in this position against the ant. So what I'll do here is I'll conjure flame right here. Why would I not conjure flame here? Because he can walk around. So I just conjure flame once, throw a fire. I'm going to walk towards the enemy, get in melee with him. This is to keep him in the fire. I know it looks risky, but it's fairly controlled. Like I said, I have an escape route and I know what I'm doing. Slime creatures are surprisingly deadly to the classic mage, even in 1v1s. I'm going to use my Conjure Flame, Sticky Flame combo to deal a lot of damage. The Conjure Flame, Sticky Flame combo is fairly situational, but it's extremely powerful. It does some of the highest damage in the game at this stage in the game, so we're doing good. We're doing very good. Okay, we picked up a Wand of Ice Blast. This is an excellent tool for complementing your character's weakness, which is the mana being the severe limiter of the character. So in this case here, I've actually been flanked by a couple of orcs. These guys at this point are not incredibly dangerous, but I'm going to go ahead and fireball here because it can't miss, and I'll be able to clear out those orcs from randomly hitting me. I'm going to now pull upstairs, keeping in mind, of course, that the slime could do a lot of damage to me. Pull them up. Okay, this is a much better spot. I'm going to pull down to the north and Sticky Flame and walk back. And when the Sticky Flame runs out, Sticky Flame him again. We do take a hit every time we cast Sticky Flame, but that's mostly okay. Alright, Gastronok is a fairly scary enemy at this stage of the game. His air strike is very powerful against us. Since we're on the upstairs, we're a bit safe, so I'm going to go ahead and blow all of my mana on this guy and just see if we can take him down. This is a fairly strong position for us to be in, but now it's not. I'm going to run away, and I'm going to avoid him now. So, as you can see there, the airstrike took out about half of our health. I also ended up wasting a couple of charges of the Ice Blast, but I did want to see if it was possible. Again, these kind of calculated risks are fairly... As risky as that looked, it was actually fairly safe. I was maintaining my distance. I was on the upstairs. I was happy to blow my mana to have a chance of killing the guy, because that would have been a free fight. And I had a very easy escape path. If I'm on the upstairs, this character becomes a lot more... Can make a little bit more aggressive pushes with their mana, I suppose. You can kind of extend a little bit further with that extra mana, because you know that you're only one turn or 2 turns away from just pulling upstairs like that, and then continuing with your rotation. I ended up picking up... Throw Frost is another spell that Behemoth's just randomly gifted us. It's not a very good spell. It's pretty much the same as Throw Fire, but it doesn't work against undead, so it's a little bit... It's fairly lackluster. And it definitely would hold the exact same slot as the Throw Flames. There's no real reason to ever use it. Hence, we won't learn it. So Fireball here is going to be excellent against killing these Orc Warriors. Again, I know that he's got a glaive, he's got extended stuff, so I'm just going to pull back, just to kind of stand here and pelt him with our extra mana. Since there's a guy over there, I'm going to go throw one more pot shot at the guy, and then just run upstairs and heal. I know I'm going to go downstairs and be immediately in a melee spot, but considering the other 3 downstairs are almost definitely going to be in melee with something else, I need to make a quick change. So I poke that 2-headed ogre. Again, I'm on the upstairs, so I can afford to make a couple more overextensions with my mana. I'm pretty sure he's in this tile right here. I'm going to go ahead and fireball him. I don't think it hit, but that's fine. And I take him out. I'm going to go upstairs and rest again. If you're saying, oh my gosh, this is pretty tiring to do, yes, you've effectively figured out how Mage plays. This is the Mage playstyle. If you're not a fan of this, then Mage may not be for you. But You know, that's fine. Most mages are, most mage players are a bit of a weird folk anyway. Just kidding. So I'm going to go ahead and fireball the guys to the south because I know the Sticky Flame will eventually kill him. This is a bit of an unfortunate spot, so I'm going to use my point-blank fireball strategy. So as you can see, fireball here will engulf us in fire. But if you aim diagonally, up or down, you can actually hit him with the corner of the fireball. It does full fireball damage, and you can also kill him. Alternatively, I could have used the Iskenderun's Mystic Blast, or the IMB, to hit him at full screen, because IMB explodes away from the caster, so I actually never can get hit by my own IMB, unless I'm casting it directly on top of myself. However, I wanted to use more of the fire spellbooks tools to show just generically how a caster can get through the game with just the fire book. We've got a fairly good selection of spells today, so it's kind of a bit of a weird thing, but you know, it's fine. So the Book of Clouds offers us Poison Vapors, Mephitic Cloud, Conjure Flame, Freezing Cloud, and Ring of Fire. Ring of Flames. Ring of Flames is the only spell that would be worth considering, most likely, in certain circumstances, if you're looking at just fire. Okay, let me rephrase how that was supposed to go. Freezing Cloud is a spell that in the past, in the very long past, you wouldn't want to go for because you would have negative training because you train fire. So if you had fire trained, you would have ice magic would be at -2 aptitude penalty. You'd have a penalty basically. For casting it. They've actually removed that since, so it's actually quite a good choice to pick up right now. But I'll talk about Ring of Flames first. Ring of Flames is a spell that basically surrounds you in flame, gives you RF++, I believe, and RC-, I think. Yes, I think so. And it also increases the power of the fire magic, and also deals Conjure Flame fire all around you, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, though, we have to think about what kind of spell slot it has. What is the point of Ring of Flames? Well, it's a level 7 spell, and it's kind of anti-personnel in that it creates fire all around us. It's very mana inefficient, in that it costs 7 mana to do that, and it's extremely loud, and has very poor range. It's also a level 7 spell, meaning that the opportunity cost for this spell is fairly high, because you have to actually cast it. Additionally, it provides you with a weakness. It makes you susceptible to cold. This is obviously not that good of a spell because it has a downside and it has so many other failings. Also, the slot it aims to take, i.e. Sticky Flame, is nowhere near as efficient as Sticky Flame. It's louder, it's more hungering, it costs more mana, and it does less direct damage, kind of, sort of. And it also makes you weaker, so it's kind of not a great spell. On the other hand, Freezing Cloud is an excellent spell. It conjures up a large cloud of lethally cold vapor. So basically it creates freezing clouds around a target area. It has very long range. It has, and it's smite targeted, which means that it is a long range spell. It's off element, and it is very mana efficient. Why? Because it's an AoE spell. AoE spells tend to be very mana efficient. Because of that, I'm probably going to be picking up Freezing Cloud in the near future. It's a very powerful spell and offers a lot of utility in the same way that Conjure Flame can be used. Additionally, Conjure Flame and Freezing Cloud actually have synergy by themselves. Conjure Flame can be used to shape a Freezing Cloud, and you'll see that in a little while. You can use it to redirect where the Freezing Clouds will go, and as such, blast kind of in a cone. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'll be using that soon. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. Freezing Cloud is a very good spell. If you do see it, consider picking it up. However, that means that we have to start training for it, because it's at 56% fail rate, even with the Ring of Wizardry. What that means is I'm probably going to have to train some ice magic at this point. With a +1 in it, I'll get a little bit of it at a time. I'll eventually start training a little bit of air magic and a little bit of conjurations, just to get us back into that area. But for now, I want to get dodging and fighting up a little bit more. I think I'll get dodging to about 8, and I'll leave it alone, just because it past that point, or generally once you get higher in dodging, the diminishing returns start kicking in, and you'll get a little bit less evade every time you train. So I'm trying to efficiently train for my new spell that I've picked up. This spell will take up most of the fireball slots, but fireball will still maintain its damage slot, and it still has that direct damage slot Freezing Cloud is damage over time and requires you to, kind of set it up a little bit more. But it is more efficient and it has great range as well. So it's pretty good. Alright, I'm pulling away from these slimes, and I'm making sure, of course, that they never actually get in contact with one another. I had to take 2 free hits there. That's a bit of a shame, but that's okay. But one important thing against slimes is don't let them get in melee with one another, because they'll start merging and becoming stronger, and you don't want that. Alright, so in this case here, Sticky Flame, pull away, Sticky Flame. Another strategy, if the enemy is very strong, is you can blink, and that will hopefully get me a 1-tile range, and that lets me get in range for another fireball or whatever, another few fireballs or another few stronger spells. So this downstairs has Gastronoc next to it, but he apparently just left. Okay, I'm gonna run for the upstairs. I'm gonna just throw fireballs at him. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna have to go down a different staircase. This one had a Null or something. I don't remember what was down here. Oh, Null Captain, right? True. I'm gonna go ahead and throw fireball again. I want to just kill him real quick. IMB does mostly the same stuff, so I'm just going to interchange them. That's a little bit of that spell slot inefficiency that I was talking about. There's a little bit of an overlap between Mystic Blast and Fireball, so it's not really a great use of my spell slots. But, it's fine to experiment in Mage games, especially if you're just starting out, because you don't really know what is good and what is bad. But generally, like I said, use this video series to kind of give a hint as to how good spells are. I'll generally make a fairly cursory, I guess, analysis of most of the spells I got here. Most of these spells are inferior to what I have, or already are occupied by another slot that I have, so it's not worth memorizing. So just keep that in mind. They're either equivalent or worse. There's a shiny shield here. This has a good chance of being some decent shield. It's Curse plus 0, that's fine. Just remove Curse and remove it. But I do want to make a note that if I put the shield on with 0 training, my Freezing Cloud jumps up to 97% fail. So it's a pretty risky thing from 45. So other spells will be significantly hindered at times. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw some Conjure Flame here. I want to see if he's going to walk into it. That is very dangerous. Holy moly, he did so much damage to us. I'm going to pull upstairs now. Okay, that was very scary. I had to cure immediately. He actually did about 20, he did more than 50% of HP. I needed to heal one time to make sure he didn't do that again. I had no option. If he had actually hit me a third time, I would have no option against that. So that was very scary. I don't think I'll be fighting Gastronoc for a very long time now. I'll be avoiding him as much as possible. But for the time being, we'll just kind of pop over here and see if there's anything that we need to do. A free Fog Scroll is pretty nice, but I am risking fighting Gastronoc again. Just watching the sides, make sure I'm not getting surrounded in any capacity. And now we'll head over to Lair. Okay, so Lair we'll talk about in the next video. But for the time being, today, just as a bit of a recap, I talked a lot about the strategic measures that we take to avoid melee and the strategic measures that we use to manage our mana and all that good stuff. So hopefully this video was very helpful for you guys who are struggling with playing as a mage, with that mage mindset of don't get in melee with stuff, keep my mana high. So if you guys like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me how you guys are doing. Like I said, I do like getting progress updates from you guys as I'm doing these tutorials. It's very enjoyable to have people just talk and, tell me about their experience with this. Because honestly, as you go on with your stuff and you have questions, I can answer those in the next video and make the next video all that much better. So leaving comments and, sharing your experience is always helpful for me, and it's helpful for yourself because obviously you get your very specific answer, very specific question answered, which I can always do. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day, because I had a pretty good day today. I played some games. It's good. I'm going to leave it here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.